So a while ago, I replaced my old tired drum brakes for some new Fandangle disc brakes. And when I did that, I didn't replace my proportioning valve, the original factory proportioning valve. And then recently, when I was doing my wiring harness, I actually broke the connector that goes to my brake light warning switch. So I thought, hey, it's time. It's time to upgrade to a disc brake proportioning valve. So I got this one at Tom's Bronco Parts, and this is actually made for disc brakes up front and drum brakes in the back. So real quick, a little proportioning valve tech, if you will. So what it has is, like the factory proportioning valve, it has the pressure reducing valve for the drum brakes. What this does is it keeps the drum brakes, or it tries to keep the drum brakes from locking up. If you slam and mash down on the pedal really hard, most likely your drum brakes are going to lock up without one of these. And what this does is any pressure above like 250 pounds or 300 pounds, it's going to begin to taper that pressure so it doesn't just skyrocket to 350 pounds or something like that and lock up the brakes. Now, if any of you have drum brakes, you know that you can still lock them up pretty easily, but this thing tries to help to prevent that. So that is in here. It has the pressure reducing valve for the drum brakes, but what it also has is a pressure meter for disc brakes. So your disc brake pads are always touching the rotor. So as soon as you press the brake, your disc brakes engage. They're beginning to slow the vehicle down. But on a drum brake, the pads have a space between them and the drum brake. So as soon as you press on the brakes, the drum brake takes a second to begin to engage. So what this pressure meter valve does is it actually slows down the beginning force. So it keeps the pressure from going immediately to the disc brakes until you hit about 100 pounds of pressure. Now, again, it's not like a flat line and then all of a sudden it jumps up. It's a gradual thing. So that's what this does. This also has a pressure differential switch right up here. And this is where the brake light warning switch is, but it also acts as a pressure differential switch. And what that does is there's a piston inside of here. And if your brakes begin leaking, what that piston will do is it'll recognize that there is a lot more pressure going, leaving this thing and go into the back brakes. And so what it's going to do is it's going to begin to move and close off the pressure to the rear brakes to try to keep the leak from continuing and still give you pressure up front. Pretty fantastic. So why have a pressure meter? Why try to limit the pressure going to the disc brakes? You know, they're better, they stop better, they're more efficient. Well, here's the thing. Imagine a boat with its nose pressed up against the dock. If you start pushing on the back of the boat, what's going to happen? It's going to pivot on the nose and bring that tail around. Well, the same thing happens when you're driving. If all of your stopping pressure is up front, what's going to happen? The back is going to want to come around because you have all this inertia coming from the back of the vehicle pushing, continuing to push the vehicle forward. And so your back end is going to break loose. And so what you want, and what this tries to do, is to get all of that working in harmony, to get your front disc brakes braking a little bit after your drum brakes begin to brake, but keeping the drum brakes from locking up. So it tries to get it to all work together. So installing this is fairly simple. What you want to do is you want to take out your original proportioning valve bracket and put your new proportioning valve bracket with your proportioning valve in place. Then you put in your brake lines and bleed the system. It's really is pretty simple. But one thing to note, like I talked about, there is that pressure differential switch inside of here. And so what you want to do is get one of these guys. It's like $6. They have them at Tom's as well. And what this does is it goes in where your brake light warning switch was, and the little nub down at the bottom, you just screw it in, and that little nub at the bottom keeps that piston from moving, because obviously that piston is trying to detect brake leakage. Well, when you're bleeding your brakes, it's basically like your brakes are leaking. So what that piston's going to do when you're bleeding your brakes is it's going to try to close off whatever line you're bleeding and keep the pressure on the other lines. So what this does is it keeps that piston from moving and enables you to bleed your brakes more efficiently. So very efficient. The final step is cutting your new brake warning wire and installing it into a butt connector to install it into your harness. My harness came with 2 wires for the brake warning switch, and per Tom's Bronco instructions, you put both the wires into the connector together to make the connection. So that's it, a little disc proportioning valve tech for your day. If you like this video, make sure to give it a little thumbs up and like, and check out some of these other videos. Thanks a lot.